Hey there, Heather. Hello there, Joe Cutter. I'm welcoming you to a very special Cutter video now. Normally, when I do a Cutter tribute video, I do a tribute video to a sports figure because, after all, that's my field of expertise. However, the tragic circumstances behind this guy's death, and that's Rob Reiner, is got to be huge and all that. And the strange thing about the fact that the past few weeks, I've actually been engrossed in Rob Reiner stuff, such as the Comedy Central roast of Rob Reiner, and then I was watching bits and pieces of All in the Family, including the scenes in which Archie, Meathead and Gloria's marriage gets rocky because of Meathead being arrested for his stuff to do with a naked protest and all that. Of course, All in the Family, he was always the straight guy to Archie Bunker, aka Colonel O'Connell's bigness. Now, of course, things are different nowadays, but in the 70s it seems to be normal, but now in 2025, not so much. So he was a director, producer, screenwriter, actor, and political activist. He began his career as an actor before going to filmmaking, directing a series of acclaimed films across genres. He's won two Primetime Emmys, a Hugo, and had Academy Award nominations, BAFTA nominations, and 9 Golden Globe Awards. Reiner was part of the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 1999, and three of his films are inducted into the National Film Registry. Only the best films. This is Spinal Tap, The Princess Bride, and When Harry Met Sally. He was Meathead Stivic on the CBS sitcom All the Family from 71 to 79. He usually was the liberal to Archie's bigoted views and all that. They would have clashes, although they both kind of understood each other. And then when Gloria and Mike left All in the Family, little Steffi, the one of Edith's brother's kids, who was a drunk by the name of Floyd, moved in. So yeah, of course, Gloria and Mike would visit a couple of times on All in the Family, and then on Archie Bunker's Place, the spinoff of All in the Family, and basically found out that Meathead screwed up and actually took part in a nuclear protest, which was for being naked and all that. Even Joey, aka Gloria and Mike's kid, says that my daddy was naked, which was shocking to Steffi. But anyway, yeah, he was there, and then he left for a commune. I thought it was a hippie commune, but it was not a hippie commune. It was just basically just a commune and all that. He left with his girlfriend, seemingly girlfriend, the homecoming queen, and left Gloria high and dry. And Gloria didn't know what to do with herself at the end of Archie Bunker Place. And then they got that stupid 17 episode spin off Gloria, which didn't work out so well. He's acted in a few things from Home of the Train, Sleepless in Seattle, The First Wives Club's Primary Colors, and The Wolf of Wall Street. I'm just naming the ones that I kind of know. He he made his directorial debut with This Is Spinal Tap, which was a metal mockumentary, aka a documentary, but it was a mock one. It's like Best in Show or what was that one in the '90s that Christy Alley was in and all that, but I can't remember. But yeah, he he earned acclaim. He actually directed The Sure Thing with John Cusack in 1985, Stand By Me, the coming of age one, with a few characters, including River Phoenix in his breakout role before My Own Private Idaho. The Princess Bride, which was great in 1987 because of all the star power, including Fred Savage being the boy that was given the bedtime story by his grandfather. It had Carrie Ewes, Mandy Patinkin, Wallace Shawn, Wallace Shawn, and even as plain as Fezzik, the giant, Andre the Giant. So Andre the Giant was in this one too. When Harry Met Sally in 1989, the famous Sally scene in which she pretended to do a you know what. Obviously, I'm going to try my best to be as PG as usual, but things slip. And then the old woman goes, I'll have what she's having, thinking it was about food. But the fact of the matter is that, yeah, Harry Met Sally, this was the big one because There was actually supposed to be a melancholy ending to the movie when Harry met Sally. That Rob Reiner did that, but once Rob Reiner had his relationship with Michelle Singer on the set of Harry Met Sally, when Harry Met Sally, he changed the ending to a happy ending. I didn't even know. I didn't know he was the director in Misery. Everyone knows about the one in Cat. Oh yeah, what's this? It was Billy Crystal and um, Meg Ryan. And Misery, Kathy Bates taking care of a reclusive author and all that. I think she was nominated for a Oscar but missed. But yeah, Misery. I didn't know she was. I didn't know that Rob Reiner was the director towards Misery. I've heard of it. A Few Good Men, 1992. I can't believe he was the director of that one. The famous scene in which Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson were going at a military court. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth. And yeah, that one, that was actually mocked by WWE in 2005 with Cena as Tom Cruise playing JBL, who was doing the Nicholson bit. And he was a part of the American president too. So he was born in a Jewish family. His parents were actresses Stella and Carl Reiner. Carl Reiner made headlines in the 2009 Comedy Central roast of Joan Rivers when he said shit and cunt. His words, not mine. His siblings were Annie Reiner and Lucas Reiner. He studied at UCLA Film School. He had bit roles on several TV shows and all that. But then he got cast into the All in the Family thing as Archie Bunker's liberal son-in-law, aka Michael Stivic. Marrying Archie's daughter Gloria, played by Sally Struthers. Of course, Carol O'Connor being Archie Bunker to Gene Stapleton's Edith Bunker. For 5 straight years, it was the most watched TV program in the United States because of the political commentary of one Norman Lear. Everyone called him Meathead and all that. And Rob Reiner actually said when he was reflecting on the Enduring Association, he said, I could win the Nobel Prize, and they write Meathead wins the Nobel Prize. He did win 2 Emmy Awards and got 5 Golden Globe nominations. He would not be part of TV acting until New Girl in the 2010s. So anyway, yeah, he was a director. He did This Is Spinal Tap, Stand By Me, and The Princess Bride, as I said. And of course, we're hearing Miss Sally, Misery. Oh, Kathy Bates did win the Oscar for Best Actress. Okay. Few Good Man and the American Presidents, Ghost of Mississippi, and The Bucket List. And he was uh, in a semi autobiographical film called Being Charlie, co written by his son Nick. We'll find out more later. But anyway, yeah, he acted in supporting roles and all that. He actually parodied himself in Dickie Roberts' former child star as a child star. And he was the one who actually opened the Dick Van Dyke 98-year-old tribute. Everything. And Spinal Tap 2 was released 3 months before his death. Forgot about that. He was a liberal activist and all that. No, he would be smart. Yeah, all that. And yes, he was in a South Park episode called Butt Out. Remember, they were doing an anti-smoking thingy at the school, but it actually influenced Cartman, Kyle, Stan, and Kenny to smoke cigarettes instead of, not doing it. He was depicted as a morbidly obese, hypocritical tyrant. Of course, his weight was the big issue and all of that. I actually was looking at the Rob Reiner Wikipedia page because when I watched the Comedy Central roast of Rob Reiner a couple of weeks ago, I was engrossed to say, "Whoa, anything to do with his weight and all that. Nothing to insult him, but just to be there." Anyway, the fact of the matter was that, yeah, butt out. And then Rob Reiner comes in trying to tell them that, to go after the cigarettes the anti-smoking advocate, was Kyle basically said, and well, they smoked and then they burned the school, not down, but they burned the school. And Kyle basically wants to tell them that we're gonna get this is a pattern that's happened this year, so why don't we just concede and say we did it, that we were the cause of the trouble. It wasn't smoking campaign, anti-smoking campaigns and all that. Of course, Rob Reiner on the South Park episode actually wants someone to speak out against the tobacco industry. Kyle convinces Stan and Kenny to basically wave the white flag, saying they were the cause of it. Cartman is the only one that's willing to do it, but they get in trouble anyway. He went massive possible candidates and all that. He endorsed Joe Biden and all that. Reiner gave an interview with CNN in September. He spoke out against the POTUS and the FCC, saying that maybe the last time you ever see me because of Jimmy Kimmel Life's suspension. Personal life, he married Penny Marshall, the strong voice of Laverne and Shirley, and basically the the rival of Cindy Williams, because Cindy Williams, who was Shirley, actually was upset because Penny Marshall as Laverne basically may have gotten special treatment because Gary Marshall, the producer of Happy Days and Laverne and Shirley, was her brother. He actually adopted Marshall's daughter from her previous marriage, Tracy Reiner. And for Tracy, Reiner and Marshall actually divorced in 1981, just a few years before Laverne and Shirley ended. Yeah, when Harry Maselli, he was introduced to photographer Michelle Singer. Sorry, I struggle with that word. It actually led to 3 children: Jake, Nick, and Romy. So anyway, Reiner actually said that his childhood home was not observantly Jewish, although he did have a bar mitzvah. His father actually was an atheist during the Holocaust, and Reiner says he was an atheist too. So yeah, that was kind of weird. Reiner kind of in a Jewish establishment, and of course, this past weekend was a disaster in Australia at Bondi Beach, one of the greatest beaches in the world. They had that assassination of 15 people, which is like pathetic. So, of course, this death, he and his wife were found dead inside their Brentwood home December 14, 2025. It was Romy, their daughter, that discovered their body with stab wounds. Reiner was 78. The medical thing came at 3:38 Pacific or 6:38 Eastern time. Both had fatal stab wounds. They had booked Nick Reiner for murder. Authorities said that Rob and Nick actually got in an argument at a Christmas party by Conan O'Brien. Yeah, he is being held with no bail. I mean, with no bail. I thought it was $4 million bail. Anyway, a lot of tributes and reaction and all that from the political world. Obviously, there's one that's missing, and you know the story. Just go on social media, look at the reaction from that one person. All I'm going to say is disastrous. All that one person had to say was, I hate you, but you should not have died this way. Simple as that. Number 9, legacy. Reiner was a figure in the development of mainstream American cinema and television. This is Spinal Tap actually popularized the mockumentary genre and all that, which was amazing. And it was a comedy. And The Princess Bride had a lot of phrases that entered the regular lexicon and all that. And Stand By Me, Family Guy did a thing about Stephen King's 3 shows, and Misery was one of them, alongside Stand By Me. And the third one was Shawshank Redemption. Yeah, sure. That was funny. But yeah, actually, when Harry Maselli redefined the modern romantic comedy, or rom com as they call it. So yeah, a lot of things happened and all that. He actually was a producer and studio exec through Castle Rock Entertainment, the ones who created Seinfeld. And Castle Rock produced Shawshank and The Green Mile. So yeah, a lot of his filmography and all that. Of course, I don't know much about the filmography genre because I'm not into film. I'm into sports, of course. Everyone knows that. But yeah, I've heard of those movies and all that. Spinal Tap 2 as an actor. I know he was not in that South Park episode. I think it was no, he was parodied. And he was wait a minute, he was on The Simpsons? $1 Million AB. Oh, oh, was that the wrestling one? What was this one? Rob Reiner appeared of himself. I don't remember that. Oh yes, now I know. Yes, now I know. Now I know. Now that yeah, because it's his grandpa ruined the football team. Now I remember. Okay, so $1 Million Amy was the episode in which Homer wanted Springfield to have a professional football team. Everyone laughs at him. Even Maggie says that too, and in her baby babble saying that bald mummy will fail. So he manages to get the Springfield meltdowns stuff and all that, and it works out. It was either Springfield or Los Angeles. Rob Reiner appears in the Los Angeles promotional thing, putting his name over lots of other people's names and leading a group of um, impersonators, basically saying that Springfield sucks and all that. And because of that, the the Pro Football Expansion Committee basically decided to give the stuff to Springfield to spur Los Angeles. Of course, this is years before Los Angeles got their football team back with the Rams. But the fact is that they did all that. Springfield was supposed to get a ceremony, but they changed the names of their streets, which unfortunately they never notified the commissioner. And so the commissioner is lost, wanders into the Simpson home where Grandpa is babysitting Maggie. And then Grandpa gets influenced by a 60 Minutes thing about sneaking into houses and stealing loved ones' stuff. So Grandpa ties up the commissioner, thinking he's about to get his the stuff ruined. But unfortunately, he fails miserably. The town gets mad at Grandpa. Grandpa decide to end end it all. Unfortunately, nobody cares about him. They have this Springfield Stadium that nobody wants anymore because football's not coming. Grandpa nearly does, but then Chief Wiggum says that the courts have reversed the assistant dying thing, and Grandpa is safe. Grandpa gets a second win and decides to become a bullfighter once Springfield Stadium is sold to those Spanish seniors. All that. That's the one. I remember that. I should have known. Anyway, so that's all the Rob Reiner stuff you need to know. There's probably a lot more people that a filmophile or a film critic would say, but that's just me. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. Adieu.